You're listening to Best Forevers, a podcast for kindred spirits, a podcast that encourages you to love more on your friends and to further consider the issues that plague your friendships. I'm Alysa Lucas, and today it's time to celebrate good times and friendships from around the world. It's International Friendship Day, and like birthdays, let's turn that birthday day into a week or a month, right? Previously, I've told the story from elementary school where some of the kids had purple shirt day and I wasn't invited. It was a real sad face moment for younger Alysa. Just imagine one single tear. No, I was probably sobbing. But now with the podcast, every day can be purple shirt day. Or in this case, we can have purple shirt week where we celebrate friends from different time zones around the world. And you're all invited. On this journey around the world, we will speak with Heather Welsh from New Zealand, where she hosts her podcast, Sunshine and Powercuts. Then on Sunday, August 5th, when America likes to celebrate this friendship holiday, I'll be releasing a handful of stories related to friendship when their time zone hits 12 p.m. So we have some individuals telling stories, we have some podcasters talking about friendship, so let's get the party going. Here's Heather. Hi, Heather.
Hey, Alysa, how are you?
I'm doing great. How are you in the future?
The future is good today. The sun popped out this morning and it's amazing.
And I love that because your podcast, Sunshine and Powercuts, does rely on sunshine and also makes connections to sunshine. So can you tell us a little bit about your podcast?
Yeah, so mine is called Sunshine and Powercuts, and I have two different types of episodes that alternate. Mm-hmm. The sunshine ones, I'm kind of offering a little bit of inspiration that I've drawn from nature, and I got that from having to rely on nature for power for my home, which I then talk about in the Powercut episodes. So, yeah.
So in the Powercut episodes, the way I think about your podcast is like the sunshine ones are the light and like the sun and the sunshine and connecting, and you have such a beautiful voice and it's very inspirational. So I listen to it when I need motivation. But then the Powercuts like really speaks to me, although I am completely on the grid here in Mount Pleasant, Michigan, that it's sort of the dark side when that you're off the grid and there's some interruption to nature or to being able to have power. So having the light and the dark, and as someone who studies friendship and then also the problematic sides of friendship, and I teach the dark side of communication, I really appreciate that you have that sort of complete view of nature in your podcast. I think that's amazing.
Yeah, not everything is sunshine and rainbows and all those good things. There is the dark side to life, and it's the reality of that living off the grid is not always that easy, and there are the challenges and how to work through them.
Yeah.
So, yeah. And I love having both so that I'm not focusing on just one or the other. Mm-hmm. It really helps me, yeah. Yeah,
and, I think that is, in a way, that our podcasts are very different, but also very similar because of that. It's... To me, friendships they matter, they're quite meaningful, but they don't always go right. We don't have scripts for how to handle conflict, whatever the case is, but it's like talking it out. So some episodes will be like the sunshine, like you, or it's like, let's celebrate or connect. And then it's the Powercuts. All right, let's break down rejection, or let's break down whatever.
Jealousy.
Yeah, exactly. Let's talk about envy and breakups and things like that. So, it's really cool to have met you through the podcasting community, because here we do completely different things, but we still are very similar, and I think that's really cool.
Yeah, I think I started just a little bit before you, but I found yours pretty soon after I started, and I knew that it was something that I had an affinity with because I saw the value in what you're doing. But also then I created my little tagline for you, which is that you radiate sunshine wherever you go and whatever you do. And so it's on my whole theme of being shining bright and stuff. And I really value what you do. I think it's amazing.
Thank you. And I appreciate the tagline because as a teacher, I have hashtags for all my classes, and I have mantras like everyone deserves to be happy, healthy, and safe. So it's totally on brand for me to have this tagline. And so I'm going to have to talk to Kate. I'm going to have to hire her and see if she'll make something with that tagline on it. I think that'd be cool, like a crossover.
That would be amazing.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. But I appreciate that. And I think that is something also that we have in common, is that we very much are living what we're doing. I mean, when your power goes out, you're like, well, there goes another episode of Powercuts that I can talk about.
when the power comes back on, I can record that one. Yeah.
You're like, please come back on so that I can record this one. And
Also that I can connect with Alysa because, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, this one is, our connection has been delayed a day, but nature doesn't always let us do the things we want to do, but that's why we have to just be flexible.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
So one of the cool things that you do, and I was lucky enough to be a part of the first one, and I'm going to be part of the second one, is the Sunshine Summit. So can you tell listeners a little bit about it? Because the next one's coming up soon.
Yeah, so I had an idea, like I want to shine bright and light up the world, which is kind of my whole purpose behind my podcast, not just sharing my story. And part of that was in March this year, which is my birthday month. I wanted to do something really exciting to celebrate. And I've made incredible connections from sort of shining bright and making connections in podcasting and other things over the past year. So the Sunshine Summit was an idea to get those people together and to celebrate them, to say thank you, that I'm really grateful for all of their help and support. And I love what they do. So I called together 11 people in March, and hey, Ferguson.
Ferguson is coming to say hi, but continue.
Ferguson was a big supporter of the March Sunshine Summit, so I really appreciate that.
Yeah, he did a lot of listening and watching with me, and he was here when I recorded, so that's great.
Yeah.
Sorry.
That's okay. And so we got 11 people that I made good connections with, and we had a live call, and got some people to come by the live chat and just celebrate connections. And because I think they are important, they help us. Like podcasting can be a lonely journey, but life in general can be hard, and it's amazing to share the journey with other people and to let them know how much you appreciate that. So did that one in March, and it was amazing. And I've got the next one coming up in 2 weeks' time. And I've got some great people like Alysa who want to come back and hang out again. So I'm very, very grateful.
And you have some new people too, and they'll all be on YouTube, right? So what is your webpage so that people can access information about the summit?
sunshineandpowercuts.com/Sunshine Summit 2018.
Oh, that was easy.
Yeah.
No, I'm really excited. I will be on August 13th at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, which I know for those of you who are in New Zealand, that will be in the future. And I always make that joke of future Heather. Because your time zone, didn't we figure out like you're 14 hours ahead of
I think
where I am? And so trying to figure out when we're just even when we just want to chit chat or like catch up with each other, it's like, all right, what time is that?
Yeah, that's hard. Time zones are hard. I've got an app on my phone to try and help me.
Yeah, I have to Google it. What time is it in New Zealand right now?
Yeah.
Well, and I have this. Oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
I was just going to say the app that I have on my phone is called Time Buddy, which I think is really cool for friendships because my friends are international and it's called Time Buddy, so I can catch up with my buddies in the different time zones. There you go.
I'm writing that down and I'm going to use that. I'm getting Time Buddy right after this. That's amazing. Well, and that's the thing is the idea here is, I mean, I have wanted to have you on for a while, and I thought this is the perfect time to do it because July 30th is technically International Friendship Day, but in America, we celebrate it on August 5th. I don't know why. So we're just going to turn it into like a International Friendship week and a half, you know. And so we'll celebrate. This will be an episode, and then it comes. If you're listening, it's August 3rd right now, and you're listening to it on that day or after. And then on August 5th, I'm going to release across the time zones different stories of friendship. And so being able to celebrate friendships around the world. And that's one of the things that's really cool. I never would have thought that I'd have a friend in New Zealand. I've never been there. I don't know if when I'll be able to make it there or when I would have met someone from New Zealand. And here we are connecting through the podcast world. And so I have a New Zealand friend, and her name is Heather. And I sung that. And so I know that we've like connected a lot online in different venues, Twitter and Facebook and so on and so forth. But we also chat, would you say like at least once a month?
Yeah, and I look forward to them, and it's amazing.
Yeah, Google Hangout. Yeah, we talked for a while before we even recorded this.
We did. We had to catch up.
Yeah, we played catch up. So this is really great, and I think that's what's amazing about friendship now is that friends are not people who are. When I was a kid, it was you were friends with the neighbor kids who lived next door, who you went to school with, who you went to church with. And now we live in the world where technology makes the world so much smaller, which is cool in the sense of being able to reach people. And so I'm so glad to be able to have you on and talk with you on International Friendship Day. Yay.
Thank you. I'm excited that we are international friends. I think that's amazing. And like for me, like I found also in life, I was real social in my sort of younger days. And then as we get sort of more up the career path and whatever else happens and living out rurally in the countryside, sometimes you can get a little bit isolated. So for me, the podcasting thing in general recently has been a good way to make international connections and have that social thing, but also just connecting, just feeling like I'm connected to something else. Yeah.
And that's really important, even just knowing that, even if you might not need something or someone at some point, just knowing that they're there is, I think, critical to our life, the needs that we have as human beings. You do have a lot of experience with friendship internationally, so can you tell us some of those stories?
They started from when I was really little because my family got to travel. So my dad took me on a trip to New Caledonia when I was 5 years old. And I remember it because it was such a huge thing. I remember my dad picking me up from school and I got to tell the kids that I was going on this amazing holiday. I didn't know what that meant. I just knew that I was going on an airplane.
You're like, I'm cooler than you are.
Yeah. So I got to go on the airplane and I don't remember that too much, but I was in it was Club Med that we went to in New Caledonia, which kind of seems a little bit bizarre now looking back on it because that was kind of like a place for young couples really to go. And my dad took me on it.
Awkward.
But the club had like a children's program, and so I went there and I met this girl called Sophia, and she sticks out because her name reminded me of sofa, of the couch.
As someone who watches a lot of television, I like it.
So we became fast friends, but the funniest thing was she wasn't really an international friendship because she was from New Zealand too, but we happened to meet in New Caledonia and we were on the same we were on the same return flight home, so I got to play with her at the holiday program and then come back home on the plane with her, and that was an incredible friendship, making a friend somewhere new and exciting and magical.
Mm-hmm. And, it's always fun. That does happen. It could be someone who lives around the corner from you or knows a friend of a friend, and you meet them somewhere randomly, 10,000, 1,000 miles away from where you live. And then it's like, oh, here we are. We're friends.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now, what are some of your other experiences internationally?
So when I was kind of in high school, we hosted some international students who came to the school on exchange. So we had a couple of Japanese students stay with us, and that was fascinating because that's definitely a cultural difference.
Oh,
there.
yeah.
And yeah, I loved learning origami and learning a bit of Japanese, and they had the coolest little stickers they got from photo booths with their friends before they came over, and they'd share them, and like Hello Kitty was really big back then, and that kind of stuff. So it was fun. They taught us how to make sushi as well as the origami, and it was just really fun having that experience and having them stay with us and then being able to show them around New Zealand and take them to places. Yeah.
How old were you when you had those students?
About 13 or 14.
Were they about the same age as you?
I think they might have been a bit older, so 14 and 15. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, well, that's cool.
Yeah.
Now, hold on. Bless his heart. He just loves you so much, Heather.
Aww.
Ferguson is here. Hi, buddy.
Hey.
Okay, he's not being bad. I might have to stop him, but he's just laying here, so we'll see.
Okay.
You can probably see his shadow right over here, but he's just laying by and let me see what time it is. That might be part of it. Oh, he's probably like, I'm hungry.
Dinner time.
It's dinner time. Did you stay in touch with any of those people, with Sophia or the Japanese exchange students?
For a little while.
Mm-hmm.
And not for too long. I think once I shifted high schools and things changed for them and they moved around in Japan, the Japanese students, so we kind of lost touch eventually. But for a while, we did maintain that, and via email back then, that was all it was. I did send a couple of snail mail as well, which was fun. But yeah, mainly by email eventually.
Well, and that can be hard.
Mm.
Sorry. That can be hard because, like, I've always loved the idea of, like, having a pen pal and writing letters and things like that. But that can be hard to have, like, people who are completely committed to that. And it does take time to do that, where you can do email from your phone, or maybe at that time you could not. It was doing it from your computer and there was dial-up or whatever.
Yeah.
But now it's like, oh, go ahead. Yeah.
On the pen pal side of things, she's not international, but she's my best friend here in New Zealand, and I shifted schools when I was 15 at the end of my 15th year, and we kept in touch by pen and paper, and that was amazing. We did that for years.
Yeah. I love getting mail, and even if it's something short like a postcard, it's always fun to get something other than like bill in the mail or like the junk mail that's just like the coupons for places that I don't shop at. And I'm like, oh, thanks. Yeah. And but it's hard to keep up. Even doing like mailings for Best Forevers, I did mailings from December to March, and like it takes a lot of time to do that, to keep up. But there's something that's really cool about that, being able to send people. And I know that we've sent each other a few things, and but people's life changed too. And so, like, you met Sophia when you were 5, and the exchange students when you were 13, and so that's. I'm not saying like you're old, but that was a long time ago.
I'll take it. It's all right.
Sorry, it was like, as I'm saying it, I'm like, gosh, that sounds like I'm saying like you're old. But I believe I'm older than you, so if I'm saying that, then I'm old too.
We're young at heart, Alysa. It's all good.
It's true. Yes, I love it. That's exactly what I meant. Now, do you find that it can be harder to maintain relationships at a greater distance than the ones that you have, the friends that you have in New Zealand?
I think, well, yeah. See, even my friends in New Zealand don't live close to me, so I have to maintain long-distance friendships with them as well. And it is hard because the people you see, like physically, you talk to more often generally because you come across them more often, whereas international ones, it's once a month for us because we've got everything else that's going on, and we have to make a time to actually set aside time to chat. And so, yeah, it does. I think it is harder. I've also more recently made friendships that are longer lasting, that I've held on to them longer than those ones from my earlier days. So, like I went to Canada for 6 months on a university exchange myself, and I've
that's
kept
awesome.
in touch. I've kept in touch with them, like longer, but not as in depth, but still keep in touch with them. And then the podcasting thing is the one that's been the biggest, and I've developed the closest relationships internationally with people. Yeah.
What was it like to go on exchange to Canada in college?
It was amazing. It was like freedom.
Free at last.
Freedom. Because I flew over there by myself.
Wow.
I'd been overseas before. When I finished high school, I went on an international choir festival trip to Italy and England. So that was my first foray out into the wide world with school. And then, Canada was living there and studying and living in residence and doing all that stuff. So it was amazing. And I kind of picked that Canada, or the University of Northern British Columbia, because it wasn't too culturally different, because I wanted to still get really good grades at school and not struggle too hard academically. But there was still quite an international hub of people there at that university too. So I got to interact with a whole bunch of people.
Was it scary going across the world like that?
Yeah,
by yourself?
I'll tell you a story. I had to fly from Wellington, New Zealand, and then I flew to Sydney and across and stopped in Honolulu and then to Vancouver.
Oh my gosh.
When I was flying from Sydney to Honolulu, I panicked on the plane. I was like, what am I doing? I'm traveling this far away from everybody. What's going on? It was because I was tired.
I can imagine.
I was exhausted. I had to get up at 2:00 my time, drive for 2 hours to Wellington, wait for 2 hours because you had to, be there early for the flight and then fly. Yeah. And that whole day, I think I left New Zealand at 6:00 in the morning on a Monday and got to Canada at 10:00 on the Monday, the same day.
You're like, it is really only a 4-hour difference, but somehow it feels like I traveled for 40.
And that took a toll. And when you're tired, you're emotional. And I just thought I lost the plot. And it was a silly place to do it because you can't go anywhere when you're on the plane and over the middle of the ocean. But I was really lucky that my parents had made connections within Canada. So I got to get picked up from the airport by my dad's friends, and they took me in and made me feel at home, and they showed me around Vancouver. And my mum had friends who's had siblings over in Canada, so they took me for the next part of my trip. And I got to go to a wedding. I got to go to their family vacation and a 70th birthday party. It was just incredible. So I had this really cool experience where people just welcomed me in and made me feel like part of the family. So I wasn't feeling like an outsider, even being that far away from home. So it was really cool.
Yeah, that seems really scary, but people can be so amazing in terms of being sure that you are connected to someone else and making you feel welcome. And even maybe on that flight, there probably been some people who were probably like, what is going on with this lady? But then other people who are going to do their best to help this person they don't even know get through whatever they're getting through. Yeah. And that happened to me in January when I was flying back. I bent over to get something and I pulled a muscle, and I forget what it's called, but I have this thing where I immediately will get warm and want to pass out. I react really physically to stuff. Yeah. And I was turned all completely white, and I was sweating, and I thought I was going to vomit and do all this stuff. But everyone was so nice. They're like, get her a cold cloth, get her some 7-Up, get her a barf bag. And everyone was like, take your sweatshirt off. That'll cool you off. Take your shoes off. That'll help. And I was just like, people, thank you so much. We see so much bad news every single day about different things. And and when I say we, I mean humans can be so awful to each other. But then there's these lovely connections that you can see that are so wonderful. And it really gives you hope.
Yeah, it does. Yeah.
And stuff like that gives me hope, where it's you were welcomed with open arms. I mean, you're like, I'm at someone's wedding. All right.
I don't know.
Your first Canadian wedding.
Yeah.
Is it different than New Zealand? Probably not, but it's a wedding.
It was fun. Woo. Yeah.
So then when you were in college there at the university, what was it like making friends there? Was it easy? Was it a challenge? How was that experience for you?
So just stepping back a little bit, when I was in my final year of high school, I changed school for the final time, and I came in when everyone was in their final year. So they all had their developed friendships, and that was extremely difficult. I didn't really make friends there. But when I went to Canada, even though I was on a very short 6-month stint, it was I was a novelty because I had an accent, and I was from New Zealand.
You're cool. We like you.
Yeah. You're different, you're shiny and new. And so, it was that. But I was also really excited to be there and learn from them and see how they did things. And the houses were different, design is different in there. And the school was a little bit different to how we do it here. So that was a lot of fun. And then they also, one cool thing about that university was, but when I applied, is they had me fill out this kind of a profile thing to work out who to match me with for my residence roommates.
Yeah.
They couldn't have picked any better people for me. I had 3 amazing girls who just were on my level. And, those are the ones that I kept in touch with. So, yeah.
I want to know who's in charge of that. Maybe they should have a business. They can matchmake for friends, roommates, romantic partners, whatever, the pen pals. It sounds like they do really well.
Yeah.
Whereas I know that can be a struggle if people go in blind and they're not matched on any sort of profile. They might just go in blind, and here in the United States in the residence life, and that can make or break some people's experience. And so it sounds like it was a really good experience for you.
Yeah, it was. I'm very grateful for that.
Yeah, and now you have, through the podcast, how many people have you met? Do you have a map? I know that the Lady Pod Squad group has a map of where the podcasters are and stuff, but have you ever thought about do you have a map of the world and where you have friends now because of the podcast? You can put little thumbtacks in there's Alysa, she's in Michigan, she's in the state that looks like a hand waving.
Yeah. So on my bucket list, I think I might have mentioned it in the Best Forevers group, that my bucket list is that I want to travel, and I want to travel to the States because that's where a lot of people are that I've connected with. So, but in my head, I don't have a physical map, but in my head I have a map, and there's some in Australia, and then basically I go all the way across the United States, up and across and back again. So there's lots of people dotted along the way, and I was thinking about the logistics of that. How do I fit in everybody, and how do I make that happen? But I will do it one day. I will definitely do that one day.
Well, it's like you need to have like a West Coast meetup if there's a lot of people on the West Coast. Like there's a Midwest meetup. Like Chicago isn't that far for me. So if there's anyone in the Midwest, like Chicago is a really, can be an easy trip for everyone. And you're always welcome in Mount Pleasant. I mean, Ferguson already loves you.
Yeah.
We'll have to work on Rooney.
Okay.
But then again, Rooney loves me, and that's about it.
Yeah.
And that's, I guess, how I like it. There is something about having the cat just love me. Sorry, guys. She just thinks I'm the best.
That's all good. I will give her space.
But the thing about Rooney that's funny, though, is like everyone here is like, oh, she's like mean, or she doesn't look like she likes anyone. And then she'll come up and be all sweet and cute, and her tail's up in the air, and she'll come rub herself on your leg, and you're like, oh my God, she loves me. And then you go to pet her, and she's like, So Rooney definitely traps people into thinking that she likes them. And then I'm like, ooh, I'd step away from her.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. So what would you say has all this together, right? Thinking about starting when you were 5 years old and getting to go on that fun trip as a kid, and you didn't really know what it all meant, to having exchange students and being able to go away to Canada and now connecting with people. What does having international friends, what has that done for you? What does that mean to you? How has that impacted your life? That might be a loaded question. I'm just trying to word it in different ways that you can answer how you want.
I appreciate that. It has helped me keep an open mind and a curiosity for things. So I am excited by the opportunity to meet new people and to see how they live and interact and do other things wherever they are, to hear about local things for them or their experiences that they've had further out. Like, that's the whole thing. Why the Sunshine Summit means a whole lot to me is because it's that networking thing and the experiences you can learn from other people. So, yeah, starting when I was small, I have a love of travel. I want to explore the world and I want to go places. And then those friendships, like everyone has something different that they bring to a relationship or to a friendship. And it's been amazing learning different personalities from different backgrounds and having that experience. So it's very enriching. And I know that might sound like, I don't know, but it is. It really, it fills me up. It makes me feel like, I don't know, like I'm, the hole is filled. Like I don't, like, I've got something to look forward to and yeah.
Well, it seems to me that it's like you have a cup and how much we put into it or how big and wide that cup is can be filled by interacting with other people and connecting with them, and they can offer us things and we can offer them, and we can brainstorm together, we can problem solve together, we can learn from each other. There's so many things that we can do to help other people and have them help us be the better versions of ourselves, or to learn. Like, there's just so much. And so in a way, when you're, I know you're about to say, or at least the American in me was like, she's about to be like, I know this probably sounds cheesy, but but to me it's not. And it's like, in some ways, because of technology and being able to travel and things like that, our world is smaller. And although it is smaller, that our cups for connection to other people can be fuller, right? They can be bigger. And I think that's really cool because, like I said earlier, I didn't think I'd have a friend in New Zealand, and now I do.
Yeah. And I didn't know I'd have a friend in Michigan.
You're like, where the hell is Michigan, and why is it shaped like a hand? It looks like a mitten. What's that about?
I think the time zones thing, like there's someone out there at any other time of the day too. Like, I mean, for people here, they might be busy working during the day, but there's someone out in the US who's able to catch up at that time. So, yeah, it opens up other opportunities as well. Yeah.
I'm glad you said that. First off, it reminded me that I had almost forgotten about Time Buddy, that app of time zones, and I was reminded again of how excited I am about that app. But also, you're right, because, this summer, as I've been working on stuff for my university and the things I'm doing as a professor, that I've been trying to find a time in which I'm most productive, and it's actually 9 p.m. to 2 a.m., which is great when you get up at 7 a.m. every day, right, and not a lot of sleep. But I find myself like, I'll do work, and then I'm like, okay, I'm going to go to bed, and then I'll lay down, and I'll start to see that some people are starting their day on Twitter, and I can, connect with people, or there are people who are going to bed, and you're right, it doesn't matter what time of day you are, there is someone you can connect with, and although Twitter can have some negative things on it, there is always someone you can connect with on there. You're right, that's what's really amazing, is that if you're looking for connection, there's almost always a time.
Somebody at some time. Yeah.
And I know, I know for people that making friends can be hard. I know that from my experience when I was at my previous university, when I lived in a more rural area, I had a harder time finding people that I would have things in common with that are closer to my age or whatever the case was. But that finding friends can be hard, but it's maybe then sort of throwing the net a little bit wider online, or the things you follow or who you follow on Twitter. Those sorts of things can maybe at least help you make some connections.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. And I think one of the highlights that came out of the first Sunshine Summit, because that's about connections, right? So
yes,
and they're all international ones, pretty much. For me, they are anyway, because I'm at the bottom of the world.
I was going to say, some of these people live down the street. They live like a state away.
Yeah, for me, they're all international. But
yes.
But the thing that came out of that was that people feel they enjoy feeling like a part of a community that they may not have had otherwise. So that feeling a part of something is huge.
Yeah, I think that is something that podcasts have done for me personally, and I think you would agree, is that being part of the community has brought me to a lot more people in a lot of different locations in which to be able to connect in a lot of different ways. Like we had talked about beforehand, like manifestation in the sense of manifesting goals and desires and things like that. And there are a couple pod friends that I have that we send each other memos manifesting. And so I get to know them a lot more that way. You and I chat online. I chat with Diana from Happily Ever Aftermath every once in a while online. It just like a year ago when I hadn't even started my podcast yet, it's crazy to think how many more people that are in my life.
Yeah.
And we had a lot of time people say I don't have room for people, and it's like maybe that's the case, but I feel like we can always make room for connections, and that you can learn so many things from other people. So I'm so glad to be part of this community. You're one of the very first people I've connected with, and you're about at your year anniversary, or at least when the summit begins, it will be the 1 year anniversary, and then mine is in September. And then our friendship anniversary, do we want to just pick a time? October?
Yeah, let's do that.
Because I don't remember specifically. Maybe Facebook will tell us, on this day or something like that. But
I think it was after you announced your podcast that I found you, and so it was just sometime after that. So we'll go with October.
Yes. October. All right, so our friend anniversary is in October. We'll celebrate.
Just last month I celebrated a 1 year. Oh, no, wait, we're in July, so it was this month.
Yeah. You're in the future, so
I feel like
I'm
too far in the future now. I've gone too far. But I celebrated a 1 year friendship anniversary that is an international one, and it has been, the communication thing has been one that's helped that go through, and we haven't, when you're that far away, you need to, work on it, because otherwise it can slip under the radar, and it can get put on the back burner. And a couple of the things that have helped is, having weekly voice calls. And voice is great, but connecting with you like this, because we're hanging out on a video call, is just that much more
I can see
amazing.
You.
Yeah.
And you can see, and Ferguson can see you too because he loves you.
Yay. I love Ferguson.
He's my little buddy. Well, so then as a way to sort of close this, would you, what is some advice you would give people who are looking or have long distance friendships and how to maintain them? Is there any advice that you would give them?
Yeah, I think that you've got to find the way that works to connect for you. So whether that is like a DM or it is something, but essentially actually making time for it and booking it in is probably the best way to do it, because otherwise, you can push it to the back burner. And yeah, for me, that has been Sundays and voice chats, and then making appointments to talk with you, but also having an open mind, because everyone has all the different things that they're doing, and you've got to have some patience and then respect for different cultures and things, because you can interpret stuff differently you can get lost in translation is another thing. Yeah. You can say stuff and people are like, what? Yeah.
Have I ever said or done anything that made you go, what?
I don't think so. I think it might come off the other way. Like, I'll say some random stuff. I don't know.
Now, can I say one of my favorite ththings? Yeah. And this is with love and respect, but you do have a great accent. And there are words that you say that I'm like, we don't hear them every day in the United States. Like when you say, I think you mean like I like, or that works for me, like I'm keen on, and the word keen, I like that. But I also, so here we say www. Gmail, and yours is like dub, and I was like, this is the best. I love it.
You're the second person to point that out about how I say the dub thing, so that's amazing.
Well, you're shortening it up. I like it, but the first time I was like, yeah, this is someone that we have a lot in common, but also we come from different places, so we have different accents. And I mean, I probably say crazy stuff all the time. And you're just too nice not to point any of it out.
I think I need to pay more attention. I'm sorry.
Well, here's the thing. You think about it, and we'll talk about it when I'm on the Sunshine Summit on August 13th. And
that sounds like a good plan.
Everyone check out Heather on Sunshine and Powercuts, the podcast, where you can find on all your favorite podcatchers, which I did have to ask you what that was, but that is an industry word. And then tune in to the Sunshine Summit, which starts on which day? August 11th?
August the 11th, yep.
Excellent. And the entire schedule is on sunshineandpowercuts.com. I'm sorry. I love you, Heather.
Love you too. Thanks so much, Alysa.
Yeah, thanks for coming on. I really appreciate it.
No worries. Thank you.
I think it's important to consider that our friends might not be nearby, but through other venues, travel, and experiences, we truly have the opportunity to meet so many different kinds of people, and we can learn a lot from them, we can have an enjoyable time with them, and we can help each other expand our worlds and our acceptance for others and other ways of doing things. As Heather mentioned, though, friends in different time zones may call for patience as you try to figure out exactly what frickin' time zone your friend's home country is in. Or you try to balance the responsibilities and relationships that are right in front of your face. But if they're your friends and you care about them, we make ourselves available to them and understand that availability must be flexible. Yes, we make the time, but also we have to be considerate of that time. A lot of time our messages sent to each other are asynchronous, which means I can send Heather a message before I go to bed, and she'll respond to it when she can, and I do the same when Heather messages me. Whereas when we are talking face-to-face, it's synchronous, right? You can see me, I can see you, you can hear me, I can hear you, and we're building off each other like a dance back and forth. Asynchronous is you send me a message at 2 a.m. and I'm not up at 2 a.m., so I'll respond to it when I get up and check my email at 3 p.m. the next day. It gives us a chance to fit in communication to our schedules, and schedules can make being friends really tricky, so my advice is to write and send a message when you can, but setting up a monthly time to chat online or to write a message when your friend will receive it when they wake up or when they get out of work. This can either add something to look forward to, like an online chat date, or a nice surprise like, oh, I didn't know I was going to have this email that I'm waking up to, and that's really cool. So there might be added work here to be friends in different time zones, but I can say in my case that they're all worth it. I wanted to do as much as I could to celebrate International Friendship Day. Week, month, we're just stretching out as much as we can. So on Sunday, August 5th, like in the US, there will be a handful of stories about friendship that will be released. So if you don't like waiting to hear more Best Forevers, you'll have some stories to pass the time until next week. I hope you enjoy. I'm really interested in hearing your friendship tales of study abroad, travel, and so much more. Please send your stories about your international friendships to bestforeverspod@gmail.com so that I can share them on future episodes. And again, folks, don't forget, I'm not nosy, but I love to geek out over friendship. So send me all your stories because I love to read them. And, you know, a lot of times I don't read them until I am recording, and it makes it all the more fun to be able to geek out on your friendships. As an added bonus for International Friendship Day /week/month, from now until August 12, 2018, if you take photos or videos of yourself listening to the podcast, wearing a purple shirt, or with the Best Forever swag, you'll get some new swag. So there's nothing like celebrating friendships and getting some cool stickers and pins and such to go along with it. So I really wanted to celebrate friendship around the world, and I want to see all the different places in which swag is located, or who's listening to the podcast, or who simply has a purple shirt and is inviting others to join them for Purple Shirt Day, because we should all be invited. And don't forget to ink Sunshine Summit 2018 into your calendars. I'll be chatting with Heather more about friendships and connections on Monday, August 13th at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And you can check out our webpage for the rest of the summit schedule. And as a reminder, her webpage is www.sunshineandpowercuts.com. That's me doing the www. I love it. If you like what you have in your ear holes, there's a few things you can do. I love to have you follow Best Forevers on social media. You can find the podcast on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Best Forevers Pod, and I'm at Dr. Alysa Lucas on Twitter. Social media is a great way to follow podcast updates, to see all the photos I'm posting, and to get involved with discussion and other items related to friendship. I really look forward to us connecting. If you care about friendship like I do and want to support Best Forevers, you might consider supporting the movement to love on our friends more on patreon.com/bestforeverspod. There's lots of cool perks and goals. You have to check it out. And one of those goals was to start working on a buddy bench, which is collecting a buddy bench and then having patrons and other people donate to having their names etched into the bench, and then me donating the bench to a local school or a school nearby so that young people can start to build some friendships instead of feeling left out. Now, the really cool thing is, and I posted this online, was that I had my first buddy bench donated to me, and I am so excited. Thank you, Peggy, for donating the buddy bench to Best Forevers. I'm going to give it some tender love and care. TLC, is that what it stands for? And then I will announce during September, which is my podiversary month, the 1-year anniversary of Best Forevers, where we can start having people send in their names and that sort of thing so they can be etched onto the buddy bench. And then in the meantime, I'll be looking for places that the buddy bench can go, and I'll keep you updated. But one of the cool things is, or the funny thing is, that if you become a patron on Patreon, you get to be called a friend with benefits. And we've got a new patron this week. Hey, Ferguson, new patron. Yes, Claire, thank you for everything. Claire was helping me from the beginning with podcast names and podcast formats, as she is an avid podcast listener, as well as she joins me on the podcast on the Best Forevers Book Club series. The next episode will be coming out on August 17th, and we talk about the classic book series, The Babysitter's Club from my childhood. It is super clean with scandal, and you won't want to miss all of the super, oh gosh, I don't even know if scandal is the right word, quasi-arguments that happen between friends. It's amazing, and Claire is finally back from study abroad, and so it was great to get together and record again. Ferguson loves Claire, so I might have to chat with him about not playing favorites with his interns, but he and I are truly touched because Claire's already done so much to support Best Forevers, and to have her as a patron is something that we are really grateful for. If you want to be Ferguson's intern or a friend with benefits, come join me and Best Forevers on Patreon. Finally, thanks for listening to Best Forevers. I appreciate every single listen, like, follow, post, and retweet. Please subscribe, rate, and review Best Forevers, as it is a great way for my podcast to get out there and for other people to hear about it. And of course, if you have some friends, whether it's in the same time zone or not, and you want to share the podcast with them, that would be a great way to get the word out on Best Forevers. And of course, all of this is so helpful and warms my friend-loving heart. This week's promo features Boozy Movies podcast hosted by Hannah and Julia. Do you like movies? Do you like drinking? Well, then have I got the podcast for you if you answered yes to both those questions. Hannah and Julia do movie reviews with a little booze, and I love this quote from them. They get inebriated and opinionated by taking shots at one film, both literally and figuratively. The podcast comes out on Fridays, so y'all open up some wine, make some margaritas, and hang out with them on your Friday night. Just think, you can party with Hannah and Julia on Friday, and you don't have to work on Saturday. It's perfect. So go listen to Boozy Movies, and of course, subscribe, rate, and review. So until next time, my friends, go make a Skype date to catch up with a different time zone pal, because without our friends, who would we be?
Welcome to Boozy Movies, movie reviews with a little booze.
Each week, we get inebriated and opinionated, taking shots at one film, both literally and figuratively.
Listen to Boozy Movies at boozymovies.com, Apple Podcasts, and anywhere else podcasts are found.
And don't forget to join the conversation in our Facebook group, Boozy Movies Drinking Buddies.
Find us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Boozy Movies Pod.